Hey everyone, what's the crack? Lawrence here with the Asetek Invicta pedals. And no, you haven't traveled back in time 2 years. These are the Thorp 2 pedals, the brand new Asetek pedals, the new range. These have slightly more travel, more adjustability. They're ready for that ABS module. This is going to be a good one. Let's do this. So visually, the box looks very similar. They don't have, it doesn't announce that it's the new version. They do have Thorp 2 written on the back here, and all Invicta pedals orders that are fulfilled now will automatically be the Thorp 2. So they're not like clearing stock of the old one. Let's get these out here. As you can remember, the Invicta pedals, I really liked them, but they were a little bit stiff for a lot of people, and I didn't fully get along with those pedal faces, so I swapped out the pedal faces. They do a mod for the pedal faces, so I definitely did recommend that. And these pedal faces look exactly the same. I'm not sure how much you can see in that box here. I'll take some of this stuff out. We've got some accessories box for the Thorp 2. Let's have a quick look in there. Okay, very simple USB cables. Got 2 USB cables in there, it seems. A USB-C to USB-C and a USB-A to USB-C. And we've got these little stoppers that we'll concentrate on in a moment as well. And let's get these pedals out of the box. So as always, well packaged, and one thing that I love about these is that they don't actually use foam at all. They do it all with cardboard. So I'm a big fan of that. We've got sticker sheets. Like with the other products, you get sticker sheets with them generally. I'm not going to focus on that too much and take these pedals out. Now, one thing you'll probably notice is that I don't have the clutch here, but the existing clutch that I've always used on the La Prima, the Forte, and the Invicta pedals, that clutch still fits this. That clutch has an LED strip in it as well, and it connects just at the bottom here. None of that has changed, so all of that is still compatible. So if you do upgrade from your La Prima or your Forte to these, if you buy the whole set, or if you just buy the cylinder itself, it works together very well. Now, the first thing I noticed there's a little bit, you can probably see that, a little bit of movement on here. I think we had that with the first Invicta as well. I think that kind of worries people a little bit that happens. It's allowed to travel a little bit. I don't know if that's going to rattle while we're using, and even more so when you have the ABS module on there, I wonder, will that cause any rattling? Like in theory, the ABS modules should just pump the hydraulic fluid and you should feel it through there, but we know that motor also rattles. So that may start rattling, we don't know. We've got a real pressure sensor here. Some hydraulic brakes that we see on the market don't actually measure the hydraulic pressure. They just have a hydraulic mechanism to push a load cell. This is slightly different to that. We have no real differences here in the stoppers, the travel adjusters and stuff. That's all relatively simple. I'm going to leave them as they are. We don't have a stopper on the brake because, quite frankly, it's probably not needed. One major thing that we didn't have on the original Invicta pedals is an extra ring down here. So if we want to get more leverage with our foot on this pedal, so if we have this on the lightest setting and it's still too heavy, you can move this down, which gives you more leverage over this with your foot. So that's going to be interesting. We do see, alas, those pedal faces which are not comfortable on when you're wearing socks. They are definitely not comfortable with bare feet, and they do chew up shoes. They're still quite sharp. I would have liked to have seen that change slightly. Our rubber LED strip, we've got little lips on here. These all protrude as well. I know that some people aren't the biggest fan of that. Am I the biggest fan of the styling of these? Probably not. I don't think they look bad. It's not exactly my style. It's a little bit 80s, and especially compared to those newer steering wheels, I think that the styling maybe isn't exactly where I'd like it to be. It would be cool to see, you know, if you get the red knobs on your steering wheel and stuff, it would be cool to be able to get these accents done in red as well. But again, that makes things super complicated. I'm not going to press these on here on the, like obviously not the brake. There's nothing that you can do there on a bench. The last thing that I want to bring a particular attention to here is that you can now just undo this, and that's where you load your elastomers from. Let's have another quick look at those elastomers, because obviously for the purposes of this video, as it's the big difference between this and the old one, the adjustability, that's what we're going to be looking at. So we have a different linked stopper here. So it seems we only have one of these, and apparently there's a longer one and a shorter one. I'm not sure which of those this is. Let's have a quick look in here. So we should just be able to take this off. There we go. That comes off. And then our stack should come out relatively easy. Now, okay, how do we remove, when this is like, so I'm just imagining, they said that you can adjust this while it's on your rig, but because it's at an angle, I'm just wondering, does that come with it? Not exactly easy to get this out. So to get this out, you would maybe with an Allen key or something. Okay, that seems to be the whole lot that I just got out, and it's got the two short stoppers in here, and I think there's a longer, yeah, this is a longer one, the one that was in the box. So you see there's only a slight difference between them. But we're going to go with the default configuration, this elastomer, which I can't squeeze by hand here. We've got various different shore strengths here. And at a glance, this one is this one is the spongiest of them all. So if you do the spongy one with the shorter, gives you longer travel because there's less stuff in the way. We're going to leave it as it is for now. And we're going to pop this back in here. And then good to go. I'm going to get the clutch installed on this because I don't like pedals without clutches. It's just the way I drive, rally, drifting, all that stuff. I want to kick the crap out of these pedals. So I am already convinced about these pedal faces. So I probably will change these before I start using them because yeah, I'm just not the biggest fan of those pedal faces. One more thing I just found in the box is this little throttle spring. So we've got that looks like a larger spring on there. This looks like a smaller, kind of a smaller diameter. So I don't know which one of these is harder. I'm guessing that the one that's on it is harder. I'm after dropping it. Mad excited to try this new brake. Let's put it on the rig. So here we are in the rig. It's strange having these pedals on here again because visually they don't look that different. I'm gonna try and look at this through the eyes of a brand new user. Forget what the old one did and didn't do. Let's look at what this one does. Let's compare it to the competitors, the ones that I consider are at the top of their game. The SimLab XP1s, for example, the SimTrex. Lots of pedals around that price range that are exceptionally good and they really need to stand out. Now, one thing we need to remember, one of the selling points of the Invicta first day was that kind of two-stage process. I personally think that even a lot of the people who have the existing Invictas never actually get into that second stage because it almost feels like a hard wall. Now, if their control over their braking is good, that's all that really matters. I know that we're trying to simulate what happens in a real car, but we also want it to be as intuitive and as controllable as possible. So that's where I look at it from a sim racer. I know there's an aspect of it should feel like a real GT3 car, should feel like a real Formula 1 car. I can't give that perspective. All the perspective that I can give is all the huge amount of other pedals there are out there in the world and how controllable the car is for me. So this is going to be my first time pressing the pedals. Obviously the clutch I'm very familiar with. I've quite a long throw on that clutch right now. The throttle, there's a nice weight on that throttle. I have changed the pedal faces, as I said to you. I've put the kind of the less grippy pedal faces on there. Oh, we can see there's some LED stuff happening. So there's a strobing. Okay, and the brake is coming on as well. Let's see what happens when we press this brake. Interesting. This is the default. I always run pedals in their default form. This kind of feels like pressing a button. Like one of those clicky buttons. I can even hear it click. You probably can't hear it. I'm not sure how. I'm not looking at the inputs right now. Not sure how much input there is in that area. I know it's to simulate the kind of picking up a slack, but that feels... Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that yet. And pressing the brake then. There's actually a... That's weird. Do you see the way I'm pressing it? And then all of a sudden there's a... There's like a click where it clicks through. I'm not sure about that, to be honest. So, that was a minor hiccup. I discovered with a little bit more investigation that the inside of the chamber where the elastomer goes it just needed a little bit of lube. So I got some of the PTFE dry lube, this stuff, which is absolutely excellent. Every sim racer should have it. But I will say, and I will state, I should not have to do this. If you're after spending €750 plus VAT on a set of pedals, I shouldn't have to DIY some lubricant on it unless it's a clear instruction that the manufacturer gives, but this should come pre-lubed and I shouldn't have to open that up at all, at least for my first impressions of the default setup. Okay, so I got a little bit of PTFE dry lubricant and I've gotten rid of that issue, so it's no longer clicking. That is definitely something that I'm concerned about, and I've already told Asetek. Just took a quick break there to tell them. I can still feel the slightest bit of every now and then a little bit frictiony, but I don't think that will actually affect my driving. So let's just play it by ear. I'm back on the default elastomer. So this braking force and everything, this is the way they came from the factory. Seems pretty okay. So let's jump into the game. Hopefully that won't affect us. So here we go. As always, Donington, Formula Agile, Assetto Corsa. I want to see how intuitive this brake is, especially the throttle. I have relative confidence in the throttle. Nothing has changed in the throttle to the best of my knowledge. It might be slightly heavier than it was before. I can remember saying the Invicta throttle was maybe a little bit light. This feels okay. I think I could do it a little bit more preload on it, maybe have it a little bit heavier, but it seems pretty okay. And that clicking in the brake is now gone. So let's take it for a drive. Okay. It seems that initial click, you know, I mentioned there was an initial click as well. There was obviously that click that I had the issue with, but that initial click seems to be gone as well. So I think all they needed was some lube. Maybe they forgot to lube these. I honestly don't know. And Jesus, I can tell straight away. I haven't even driven yet. I can tell that is twice, maybe 3 times the throw that you get with the Invicta. Like, so I'm at 100%, but there's still more, a little bit more travel that I can feel beyond that. Throttle control is going to be important here with this car. That's one of the reasons I love this car. The throttle, right now, the throw on the throttle is longer than I usually have it. I'd like to have it maybe to about, I'd say 60% there. Should be plenty. Let's turn up my engine volume here because I'm not hearing it. Okay. Let's see how intuitive this braking is here. Alright, keeping the car balanced there. Being able to hear the engine is definitely advantageous here. Oh yes, that's nice. That is... So I will go on record. I am on record. I've got videos out there. I liked the Invicta pedals. They were just too heavy for me to recommend to someone who's getting used to sim racing. This is way more like it. So this initial feel is very much like the I'd say it's probably a little bit nicer than the Fortes. I'm getting a I'm getting a nice consistent braking experience, I think. So without looking too much at my feet, too much at the pedals, I feel like I've got good control over the car. Throttle's good too. Again, as I say, I would just reduce that throw a little bit. That's personal preference, but it's nice to have the option. Let's see how trail braking goes through here. Like, that's nice, like on the edge of the throttle. So the pedal faces, again, they make a big difference for me. That's really nice. I mean, this is what I expected. This is very much what I wanted from the Invicta's first day. Like, I'm sliding this car around the place and feel quite in control. And I'm hitting apexes despite this. I mean, this is, I don't know if you've ever driven this car, but it's completely relentless and unforgiving. And I haven't driven it probably since my last pedals review or first impressions. So honestly, I think Asetek have done an amazing job here. Their flagship pedals, I've huge confidence in this now. I think if you are an existing Forte owner, I do like the Forte pedals. The Forte have always been, I might just save that for the summary, but I'll say it here as well, I guess, because I started saying it. The Forte has always been my recommendation when it comes to Asetek pedals. The Invicta is back in the lead with this. This is the standard configuration. I know you can go softer than this. I know you can also go harder than this. For the purposes of this video, I think I will change out the elastomers just to feel, can I make them feel as hard, you know, as hardcore as the previous Invictas were, the first Thorp. But this is much more of a sim racer's pedal, in my opinion. So the default settings out of the box, I am so glad that Asetek listened to people, because this is what the Invictas should have felt like first day. Not saying they were bad. Invictas are a great pedal, but you either love that feeling or you can't adjust it much. This right now is a different pedal set. If you blind tested me and told me these are Invicta pedals, I would say this is not what I tested. I tested all the configurations on the previous generation. This feels quite different. It feels a lot more user friendly from a braking point of view. The brake is just a little bit, there's more to it. There's more life to the brake, and I feel like I'm really getting into that second phase. Like, even here, yeah, I'm probably at the end of the first kind of phase here, and then it really gets, it's like you're hitting a brick wall then, and that's when it really gets a bit more hardcore. But I feel like I could go even higher than that. I feel like I'm still, I think, hitting 100% here. I'm still only maybe hitting 55 kgs, 50 kgs, maybe 60. I think I can go way higher. It's a 200 kg load cell. The pedal apparently can handle 700 kgs. I don't know if I'll be able to exert that on it, but let's change out the elastomer and see if we can get it to feel like the original Invictas, and then we'll call it a day. So I've gone for the hardest elastomer with the one of the short stoppers, one of the long stoppers. So straight away I can feel that is way more like the original Invictas. I'm at 100% here, which is probably where I'd have it for normal, kind of middle of the road. But we're going to push it because these are Invictas, right? Let's see how much, just on the calibration, let's see how many bars. What about 80 bars? Don't know what that is in kilos exactly. But let's set it to that. We're in proper formula mode. Let's see how the car behaves with this now. See how I can drive with it. This car doesn't need 100% braking. But let's send it in anger here. I know we've got cold tires, but just want to see how does it bring back the memories. Yeah, I can tell I'm under braking there, but also cold tires. Let's get a bit of heat into them. Oh, yes. But I haven't to press the brake so hard. I know it's not for everybody. It really is not. But it's so rewarding because you really, it feels like you need to push as hard as you can. Otherwise you will, you know, keep going. And I imagine if I ever get to drive a Formula car in anger, I imagine that's what it's going to be like. And especially the... Oh, Jesus. Okay. That's quite a fun exercise, but absolutely exhausting, guys. Like... Oh, that was just me braking poorly. But I know that some people say they have it at 80 bar all the time and all that. It's like, I don't imagine, unless they are professional drivers and they're training for, you know, an hour a day or whatever. I don't know. I don't think that the normal sim racer, unless they're built like a brick shithouse, I can't imagine them having the pedals at this force. But like the force is so high here that my biggest worry is not necessarily whether the pedals can handle it, but whether my pedals mount on my rig is going to rotate under the force. Oh my god. This is very enjoyable, guys. Very enjoyable. Am I going to run them like this? No, I'm not. Definitely not going to run it with this force. But the fact that it can, it's kind of like when you have a high performance car, or you know, low boost and high boost or whatever, and you're like, yeah, but I could. That was just my bad driving. That wasn't anything to do with the pedals. That was me trying to do a turbo analogy. These pedals are extremely capable, guys, and I've not even run them at the lightest. I'm not the expert, the go-to when it comes to light, like very, very light pedals. The default setting that it was on was already very good for light pedal driving. If you can go lighter than that again, it'll be great for truck sims and all that kind of stuff where you don't necessarily, maybe, you know, road car simulation and stuff where you don't necessarily need to worry too much about being at a perfect, you know, 63% braking or whatever. Let's go into the summary. I think I've seen enough. So, quite a bit to take in there. A bit of ups and downs. The lubrication thing, I really wish I didn't have to do that. I think it's nice and early now. None of these are shipped out yet. So I've been able to tell Asetek, and I think it's such a small, easy fix that they can do that it's nothing to worry about. I would very much hope that nobody ever has to worry about that issue and that I got to find it right now. I think maybe the pedal set might have been missed or something for quality control for the lubrication, because it did seem very dry in there. I'm not even sure if you're supposed to lubricate in there. I just did because I didn't want to block this review. I think it's, you know, I really wanted to get some video content out there. What I've seen, let's concentrate on the product. tried to treat it like a new product, but I kept coming back to the familiarity, the things that I loved about the Invicta. When hardcore racers come to me and they're like, but I want something that really simulates a very heavy pedal and does it well, Invicta is always one of the first things that I say, well, you should learn about that company's philosophy, because they wanted to recreate exactly what you're talking about. And people who love their Invictas love their Invictas. They have no, other than maybe a set of active pedals or something that has force feedback in them, they have no real interest in upgrading that ABS module. Maybe at some stage, but I know that some people attach rumble motors and stuff. That's all great. Not going to cover that in this video. You can if you want, but for raw driving performance, we're focusing mainly on the brake here, right? That brake is phenomenal, really good. Invicta went from being, very niche, as in a leader within a niche, to now being a general, in my opinion, with this little upgrade. In my opinion, it's a much more recommendable brake pedal now. It's right up there with SimLab XP1, the Simtrex pedals. There are a lot of other really great pedals out there, but some of them really stand out, and I think that these Invictas they're exceptionally good. I love the LEDs on the footrest. I really do. I know that the way they're set up now, they're kind of reacting to the inputs. I usually have them a static color. You can turn them off if you like as well. Absolutely no problem. Changing the throw and the travel is relatively easy as well. Takes a little bit of getting used to, because you kind of have to understand the angles and all that kind of stuff. But it is toolless, which is a fantastic thing as well. And the new range of motion in the brake, guys, I really think that, like, I think it pained Asetek. If you've ever watched any of the Asetek videos, I think their CEO's philosophy is very much, make it real or forget about it. That's kind of, he doesn't really care too much about, the niceties and the things that have nothing to do with racing that people like. However, he has learned that people don't just simulate hardcore racing. People simulate road cars, simulate trucks, simulate all these different things, and they want the choice. So what they've ended up here, and I know it's only a small revision really on paper, it's a new cylinder, but what they've ended up with here is basically a huge range of motion. So the motion of the pedal and the adjustability. I feel like there's more adjustability, also easier, the location of it. I think that they've really, if they had done this day one, it would have been a far more recommendable pedal set. Couple this with the quality of the force feedback, which is just unquestioned. The new rims, which I'm also going to talk about. We've got the Invicta on here, but we've got the new La Prima and the new Forte rims as well, which also have a minor upgrade, but they're really stepping in the right direction. Asetek, that brings Asetek really up there among the best. So the presence of these Invicta pedals, I still love the Forte, and the La Prima has the same brake. So if budget is a concern, they're definitely still my choice. I think they're very good. The throttle on this has the spring and all that kind of stuff, which I really like, and I love the clutch. So that does make this over €1,000 worth of pedals. Is it worth it? 100%. It's an excellent experience with those flat pedal faces. Again, I would change out those pedal faces if you get a choice. And I'd love if they did a version without those cheese grater pedal faces. They're just not for me. And as you saw there, that was my first time ever driving with these pedals. There is a familiarity to the Invicta, the previous Invictas, especially when I have them adjusted like this. But that extra adjustability, the way they came out of the box, was perfect for me. Was really nice, lovely driving experience. I can do hardcore stints, or I can do some just pleasure driving in road cars with that exact setup. So they're all things that they've been listening to. I'm happy. I hope that anybody who buys them is going to reflect those sentiments. If you do choose to buy, there are links in the description where you can buy these. They will be affiliate links if you choose to use them. If not, absolutely no problem. Affiliate links are a great way to support the channel, and a small percentage of your money goes towards me instead of the company. If you don't use the affiliate links, it all goes to the company. It costs you the exact same amount. If this video is of any value to you, I appreciate the little bit of effort. As with all the others, if you want to buy any of the competitors, I also have affiliate links for them so that we're not favoring one brand over another. Anyway, that's the affiliate spiel out of the way. I'm very excited about these pedals. And one very important thing, I've just come from the active pedals, which are basically any pedal set you want, right? That's a $6,000, $5,000 pedal set. I've gone to these, they're around $1,000. I've got a big smile on my face. Like, that says a lot. For me anyway, they're the things that are important in sim racing. I stream every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. The active pedals will be going back on the rig in the near future. I'm not sure how much more long-term reviewing I will be doing of the pedals in a standalone form, but I do have to do my long-term, I have to finish my long-term review of the Invicta wheelbase. So the Thorp 2 pedals will feature in that as well. I'm Lawrence. I'll chat to you later.